Hi, I'm Andrew, and welcome to the Neon Knitter. So in this video, I'm going to bring you along with me to the Shepherd's Harvest Sheep and Wool Festival. So this is my first attempt at filming a fiber fair. I think it went pretty well. My footage is a little bit all over the place, and I'm kind of running around like a crazy person because I have no experience of filming at a festival at all. But this is festival 1 out of 5 for the year, so hopefully my skills will get better, and hopefully I can do an even better job next year. So the Shepherd's Harvest Sheep and Wool Festival is every Mother's Day weekend at the Washington County Fairgrounds in Lake Elmo, Minnesota. Well, a lot of people consider it to be in Lake Elmo, but if you look up the Washington County Fairgrounds, it says it's in Stillwater, Minnesota. So I think it's right on the border between Lake Elmo and Stillwater. Because I've heard people say both before. So yeah, I always thought it was Lake Elmo until I looked it up on Google and it said Stillwater. So anyways, so Shepherd's Harvest Sheep and Wool Festival. So it's every Mother's Day weekend, and it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So Friday is classes only, and then Saturday and Sunday are when the vendors are there and selling yarn and fiber. So yeah, that is the only festival I go to out of the entire year that is not free. It is a $5 admission per person. So yeah. So without further ado, I am going to get into my footage, and then after that I will talk about what I purchased. Okay, so this is Building A, and Building A has a lot of just demonstrations and not a lot of yarn vendors. There was only like one vendor in there that sold yarn, and it was Gone Batty Fibers. And yeah, so that's Building A. Just a lot of demos and classes that happen in there. Okay, so this is Building B. So in Building B, there's lots of vendors that are selling yarn and all sorts of other like different things like bags and spinning supplies and fiber. All sorts of yarny and fibery goodness are in there. So this is Passion Yarns. This is a booth I bought from last year, or a vendor I bought from last year. I didn't buy anything from them this year, but I bought one skein to go in a fade last year. spoiler for when we do purchases, I bought something from this table. So this is Sun Valley Fibers. I also bought from them last year, but not this year. And I bought an entire quantity of yarn to knit a shawl. So still haven't cast it on yet, but yeah, that's Sun Valley Fibers. Really recommend their yarns. So this is Muse 2320 Fiber Company. They are in Hastings, Minnesota, and they dye their own yarn, and they participated in the Yarn Shop Hop this year. I recommend you stop into their store if you can. Knit Yarn is based out of St. Paul, Minnesota. I highly recommend their yarns. Their colors are amazing. So now we're entering Building C, and there's just more vendors here. It's basically the same thing as Building B. You guys might remember Petal and Hank because I used her yarn on my Aurora cabin shawl. Fiber MacGyver is another great local dyer I have yet to purchase from that I hope to purchase from in the future. Okay, this is building D. Okay, this is Pearl Talk, the yarn from my Twists and Turns. I also bought from Sandy's palette last year, but not this year, yarn for a fade. Allen & Yarns is another great local dyer. I've yet to purchase from them, but I would like to in the future. Knit Circus is another great dyer. I have some of their yarns in my stash. I did not buy it at Shepherd's Harvest. I ordered it on their website. To finish off building D, we have Stephen B. I'm not sure what building this is because it didn't have a sign, but there's more vendors in this building as well, so I decided to take some footage there too. Yarn Adventures is a yarn truck, so it's like a yarn shop on wheels. Spoiler, I did buy something from them this year. And yeah, so it's just basically a bus with a bunch of yarn inside, and they drive around and go to different yarn festivals and they sell yarn. And I think that's really cool. Yarn shop on wheels. And the final building is the barn. So there's a bunch of animals in here, like sheep, llamas, goats, alpacas. And then there are a bunch of vendors selling yarn. And a lot of the vendors also have their own animals at the barn. And yeah, so there's a lot of vendors there. And spoiler, I did buy something in the barn, but it's not yarn, and I'll explain what that is during my purchases. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about what I bought. So, first off, when you pay your $5 admission, you do get the program, which basically just shows who's vending, and it gives a map of like what building everyone's in. And it's got some advertisements. So, like it's got a big Stephen B advertisement. That is one of my LYSs that I go to, local yarn store. And then right inside the front cover, it's got another ad that I'm about to show you. I think I mentioned that I'm going to go to 5 fiber fairs this year, and Shepherd's Harvest is the first one. This is the second one I'm going to go to, and there is an ad for it. It is the St. Cloud Spin Fest Fiber Fair at Rocking Horse Farm in St. Cloud, Minnesota. Rocking Horse Farm did have a booth at Shepherd's Harvest, and I was going to do a little bit of a voiceover explaining that that's the people that put that on, but I didn't quite get enough camera footage of it before I was aiming the camera at something else. So, yeah. There is some other fiber fair ads. I'm not going to this one. That one's in a different state, but there's ads in here. But this was my third time going to Shepherd's Harvest. So my first time was in 2019. Yeah, my first time going to Shepherd's Harvest was in 2019. And then 2020 and 2021 it was canceled due to COVID. Then I went last year and I went this year. And this is the 24th Shepherd's Harvest Festival. But again, my third time going. So, yeah. And I know I already told you, Google says that the Washington County Fairgrounds are in Stillwater. I didn't realize, but the program does say Lake Elmo on it. So, yeah. So I'll leave that up to you to decide if the fairgrounds are in Lake Elmo or Stillwater, because I think it's right on the border. So, yeah. Okay. So I'm going to talk about my yarns in the order that I got them. And bear with me if I cough. I am just getting over a nasty sinus infection. In fact, Saturday when I went to Shepherd's Harvest, that was my first day being healthy enough to go places. So, and if Shepherd's Harvest weren't happening, I probably would have stayed home one extra day, but I didn't want to miss Shepherd's Harvest, so I went. So, the first yarn I got wasn't a purchase necessarily. This is from Mode Knit Yarn. And before I show it to you, I'm going to do a little bit of an explanation behind it. So, I've purchased from Mode Knit Yarn before. So I purchased from them at Shepherd's Harvest in 2019. And I bought one skein from them, and it ended up in my Daughter Ray Speckle Fade. And then I purchased from them last year at the St. Cloud Spin Fest, the one in St. Cloud that I'm going to go to. And, yeah, and so they know me. I'm on a first name basis with them. And they're based out of St. Paul. I live in St. Paul, so yeah. So I messaged them a while ago on Instagram, or I didn't message them, I think I just commented on one of their posts saying, hey, you guys don't have a single ply fingering base in your inventory or your lineup of bases. Would you guys ever consider getting a single ply base? And they personally messaged me to say, hey, what colors would you like to see in it? And one of my favorite colors that Mode Knit Yarns does is called Sonic Screwdriver, which, if you're wondering, that's a Doctor Who reference. I've never actually watched Doctor Who, I just really like the color. It is neon lime green. And Um, and so a little while later, I got a message from them. Actually, it wasn't a message from them. I was at the Fall Fiber Fair in Hopkins back in November, and I went to their booth, and they were like, "Hey, um, I'm gonna dye up a. I just bought some single ply fingering, and I'm going to dye up a skein in sonic screwdriver, and I'm going to give it to you, and I want you to test it out. Tell me what you think of it before I start selling this new base." And so she asked for my address, and I gave it to her. She never sent it to me. Well, last week she messaged me on Instagram and says, "Hey, I have this skein, you can come pick it up at Shepherd's Harvest." So I messaged her saying, "Okay, if I'm there, I'll pick it up. If not, it's because I'm getting over a sinus infection." So I ended up being healthy enough to go get it. So because it's a new base and she hasn't named it yet, she did not put a label on it. But this is their sonic screwdriver colorway from Mode Knit Yarn. And so at some point, Mode Knit Yarn will be offering a single ply fingering, but it is not for sale yet. I just happen to be their guinea pig, and I am testing it out for them. So I haven't figured out for sure yet what I want to make with it, but I think it's 100 grams, 400 yards, 100% superwash merino. But yeah, I haven't figured out yet what I want to make out of it, and I asked them how soon they want me to try it out, and they said that as long as I try it out, it doesn't matter, because I'm debating whether or not I want to put it in the mystery knit along this year or not, depending upon what the yardage requirements end up being. And they're like, "Yeah, you can totally wait for mystery knit along if that's what you want to do with it." So cool. I might try to put this in the MCAL this year. We'll see. And then also while I was there, Mode Knit Yarn has a new pin, new enamel pin. So yeah, so that will be getting added to my pin collection, which, if you guys did not know, I have a pin collection from all my vacation travels, and I have some yarn related pins and then just some other pins I thought looked cool. So this is my 279th pin for my pin collection, and I have them all on my bulletin board in my bedroom. And yeah, my board's only half full, so I have plenty of space for more. Excuse me. So, really excited to get that. So yeah, that is what I got from Mode Knit Yarn. Then the next skein I got, here's the bag. This is from the Yarn Adventures yarn truck. That was the second purchase I made because I knew exactly that I wanted this skein. Well, I knew I wanted this base. I didn't know exactly what color I wanted to get till I went to the truck to see what all they had. But this is Yarn Hero Color Mix Sock. It also comes in a DK weight. It's called Color Mix DK. But this is Color Mix Sock from Yarn Hero. And the color is called Toy Box. Yeah, it's called Toy Box. It is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 385 yards, 100 grams. Yeah. And I think that this yarn is a super great alternative to spin cycle dyed in the wool. And so this is going to be my contrast color in the Slippy V sweater by Stephen West. And so I haven't picked my main color yet, but this is going to be in the Slippy V sweater by Stephen West. Because the pattern actually calls for Chaco Wool Zauberball Crazy, but a lot of people have been using spin cycle dyed in the wool. But yeah, I'm going to use this Yarn Hero Color Mix Sock. So I just got one skein because one skein has enough. And if I should run out, this is a color that Yarn Hero regularly does, so I can always get more. So one of the big things I wanted to do this year at Shepherd's Harvest was I wanted to go to the barn and buy a sweater's quantity of yarn in a DK weight to make the antler sleeve sweater by Stephen West. And that sweater calls for only one color. And yes, antler sleeve sweater. I didn't find a sweater's quantity in the barn, but I did find a sweater's quantity in building A. So you guys might remember in the footage that I aimed the camera at a table and said, spoiler, I bought something at this table. That's what I bought at the table. They had exactly 7 skeins, which is what I needed. Excuse me. So this is from Vermilion River Alpacas. This is a DK weight, 250 yards, 4 ounces, 50% merino wool, 50% alpaca. The color is called Bumblebee. I thought this color was super unique, and then it would be really nice for a cabled sweater. So the antler sleeve sweater by Stephen West is what I'm making out of this. Excuse the rustling. I'm going to try to hold this all up. So yeah, 7 skeins. So yeah, that is what I got from Vermilion River Alpacas. And then I made one final purchase, which was in the barn, and it's not yarn. So I stopped by the Snake River Acres booth in the barn, and I think they had some sheep on display or whatever, but they were selling some fiber, some yarn, but one of the people from their farm, what she does is when she travels the world and takes photos, and then she prints them out on stretched canvas and then sells them. So those were for sale as well. And she had done a trip to Africa, and you guys might remember my love of zebras, right? Because evidently I've got a zebra project bag. And you guys might remember I'm knitting the zebra pullover by Arnie and Carlos, stuff like that. So she had this for sale. So this is going to be hung up in my room. Super random to be showing this in a Fiber Festival video, but I bought this at a fiber fair. So yes, the only non-yarny thing I've ever bought is Shepherd's Harvest in all the years I've been going. But there we go. A zebra photo print. I just knew I had to have that. So yeah. Also, I will pop a photo on screen, but there's a reason why I wore my twists and turns. Laura from Pearl Talk was vending, and you guys might remember my main and contrast colors are from Pearl Talk, and then my accent color is from Zitron. So this is Pearl Talk Usoxy Thing. The pink is called Damask Rose, and the maroon is called Passionate Red. Turns out she's actually discontinuing Passionate Red, and she's bringing out a new color. I forget what it's called, but it's a little bit deeper of a purpley maroony color, ever so slightly deeper. But I had to show her what I made out of my yarn. And if you go look on her Instagram, assuming you're not watching this a couple years later and you're going to have to scroll through her stuff, she did tag me in one of her posts, and she put up photos of me wearing my shawl. So I will pop one of those photos on the screen because I asked them to take a picture on my phone as well so that I had a photo. But I'll pop a photo on the screen of me with Laura showing my shawl off so you can see that. Okay? Yeah. I did film my Clue 4 video, by the way, but my plan is to go model this tomorrow. Because, yeah, I went yesterday, Saturday, but I didn't get around to filming this until today, Sunday. But I wore this again because I wanted to show my grandma. So, yeah, I'm going to go model this tomorrow, and then I'll pop some photos in the end of my Clue 4 video, and then I'll get that up. So, I'm not sure if this video is going up first or if my Clue 4 video is going up first, but they will potentially both go up tomorrow, or I might post one of them on Tuesday, depending upon how slow my internet ends up being. So, yeah. So, yeah, that is it for Shepherd's Harvest. Oh, I did also stop by the Petal and Hank booth. I didn't have my Aurora cabin shawl with me, but I showed her photos of where I left off. So, yeah. But yeah. So, I hope to get that done by November because I bought that at the Fall Fiber Fair in Hopkins last year. Excuse me. But yeah, so that is it for Shepherd's Harvest. But I was going to share one more thing with you guys. So, now that I'm done with my twists and turns, I got really into a mood to knit past decals. And so, you guys might remember that back in January when I was knitting my Aurora cabin shawl. And this is if you watched my Vloguary series. You might remember that my knitting needles broke. And in the frustration, I cast on something new with a different needle size, and that was Exploration Station. But you guys might remember I finished section 1 and then set it down. I have since picked it back up because this is a past decal. This was the 2014 Mystery Knit Along. And I have all the yarn for all the past decals, so I decided to pick this back up and work on it. This is my only active whip right now, and so I'm just going to show this off because then I can post this in lieu of a podcast episode because you've already seen all my acquisitions. So it'd be like a 2-minute video saying, here's my whip, we're done. So I'm not going to bother filming a podcast episode right now. But this is what I decided to pick up and work on. Now, it has been really difficult for me to find a shirt to go with this, and I don't cast on new shawls until I know what I'm going to wear them with, because I like to wear them when I'm done. Excuse me. And so a while ago I had bought this shirt here, this rainbow speckly tie-dye. It's the best thing I could find. I ordered it online. It's like, it'll have to do. And I mean, it works. But it wasn't great, but it's the best thing I could find, and I was struggling. I then went to Target about a month ago, saw the absolute most perfect shirt, didn't buy it because I'm like, well, I already have a shirt. But then I got to thinking, okay, I want that shirt, it's perfect. And so on my way home from Shepherd's Harvest, I stopped at Target and bought my Exploration Station shirt. And it worked out because my dad needed to get groceries, and that's who drove me to Shepherd's Harvest. So, yeah, because it is not super convenient to take the bus there, so, yeah. So this is the shirt that I bought. It's got lemons, limes, grapefruits, and oranges on it. The exact 4 colors that are in my shawl. So, yeah. So I think this is perfect. So, had to get that at Target. And I knew the Target that was on the way home from Shepherd's Harvest happened to have it, so, in my size, because I already went on their website and looked. So yeah, so that was my other purchase I made yesterday. I thought was worth mentioning because it goes with the shawl I'm currently making. But yeah, so that is everything from my visit to Shepherd's Harvest and then my Target run afterwards. So, yeah. With that being said, I'm Andrew. Thank you for checking in here at the Neon Knitter, and I will see you in the next video.